Hi, I'm Kelsey Zeiser. I'm a senior editor at Light Reading, and we're here at Mobile World Congress in LA. I'm joined by Romil Bahl with Core. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's so nice to see people in person.
I know.
And we got out of our sweatpants.
That's right. That's right.
So yesterday we had a discussion about your collaboration with Halo on that dog collar, which was really interesting. But would love to just hear a little bit about Core and how you're improving IoT management for your enterprise customers.
Yeah, no, look, one of my favorite questions to lead off with, right? Because you know, largely speaking, this last decade, from 2010 when the hype was starting about the Internet of Things, through to 2020, it's been disappointing, right? There was some pickup and acceleration towards the latter part of the last decade, but nothing like what we're going to see this next decade, the 2021 to 2030 decade, where our prediction is we go from 12 billion connected devices to 75 billion connected devices in
Just
IoT,
a few more.
Right? Exactly. It's big, right? And so, right, so when you diagnose what went wrong over the last decade, why did IoT stay in hype land for so much longer than any of us thought it would? It was the complexity. It was because the industry, well, first of all, the industry doesn't really exist, right? People do remote patient monitoring or they do pet tracking like the Halo guys, right? So just because you put a world-class network out there and say, okay, we're now done, now IoT will grow, that's just not how it works. All of these Lego bricks have to come together. And so we've created this one-stop shop for IoT at Core that just makes it easy to deploy, manage, scale your IoT application no matter what you do. So from an enterprise's perspective, instead of having an average of 18 partners, as the consulting shop said, average of 18 partners, so sometimes you could have many more just to launch one end-to-end solution. If you could start with one, you could start with Core. I think you start to see the benefits of what we do. We simplify complexity, we make it easy to adopt.
Okay, very nice. And I believe, do you have a partnership with Dexcom? Is that one of the, can you talk at all about that?
Well, yeah, I mean, you're hitting all the fun use cases now with Halo yesterday, and we can talk Dexcom today, and I might talk about a third if you're interested with Swoop Aero, which we presented at MWC Barcelona to the King of Spain and all sorts of dignitaries. But I mean, that's the fun of this business and this job is you get to see these really cool, innovative sort of IoT for good use cases. And in Dexcom's case, this came at the height of the early, let's say, panic around the pandemic, right? PPE was hard to find, right? There were, you know,
yeah, so was toilet paper.
Exactly. And there's all these, right, and there's, obviously people are concerned, right? They're concerned about getting the disease. They're certainly concerned about giving it to elderly patients. And so even inside hospitals where you wouldn't think you need remote patient monitoring kinds of things, Dexcom asked us to enable a solution where the nurses and physicians and staff of the hospital could monitor glucose levels of their patients, the elderly especially, without getting close to them. So I'm now not using PPE and just throwing it away just for a little glucose test. I'm not getting close to them to either get it or give the disease. And the brilliant part of this, we got it to market, so to speak, in 4.5 business days after they asked us to put this together, right? And that's the power of the over 10,000 use cases we've delivered, the knowledge we bring to bear to help our customers get to market.
Yeah, and I think we can all appreciate the healthcare use cases, especially right now. And then in terms of security, how are you making sure that all these IoT devices are secure for your customers, and what are some of their concerns around security with IoT right now?
Yeah. So it's sort of funny, I'm keynoting on this topic later on the main stage, but it is such a huge issue, right? You might think you don't have personal identifiable, right, PII, you know, information or other sensitive information, but the fact is that the minute you have a device out there, it's a way for somebody to get in to your network, right? And what I think people lose sight of in all of the conversation about how secure a SIM is, and it is pretty secure, right? That's why we still love the SIM in telco, because it's such a security device for the carriers to feel good about their networks. And then we expand that concern and we say, oh, your device has to be secure, your firmware has to be good, and all this stuff. The fact is, what about the rest of this, right? I mean, the network, the application layer, the data layer. I mean, you put all of this together, and there's many, many sort of places where, if you will, the attack surface is a lot broader than people think it is. And so at core, in our 7-step methodology to deploy an IoT solution, we start actually by designing security in. It's strategy and end-to-end security up at the front end. So secure across all layers of the stack, device, application, right, network, right, DNA, if you will, device, network, application, say it in that order, and look out for the gaps, right? Now we're doing our part. We've launched this really innovative SaaS tool called Security Pro, which gives unprecedented visibility at the edge device level using network intelligence. So what we're doing is we're saying, okay, look, work with your application developer to make sure your app is secured, work with your data, work with your, networks are pretty secure when they're, you're working with an AT&T, Verizon type of network. But then these gaps, let us help you make sure your solution is truly secure. And that's the issue. 75 billion devices is great. It's 75 billion ways to get into your networks.
Right, and it did seem like maybe a few years ago with IoT, it was who manages security, and there seemed to be a little bit of passing the buck in terms of, is it the service provider, the device manufacturer? So that's good to hear that it's built in from the beginning. It
has to be a holistic solution, and you have to take accountability for your solution end to end. Right.
Right. And then also wanted to talk to you about eSIM, or I think you also refer to it as Omnisim. So what are you doing there, and how is that fitting in with your IoT strategy?
So look, first of all, eSIM is this brilliant technology that fits right into this theme you and I have been chatting about, which is, making IoT easy to adopt, right? So the one fundamental problem Core solves for our enterprise customers, of course, is if you need to be in 30 countries, 50 countries, 75 countries, instead of working with 2 to 3 carriers per country, now certainly you're up to 100 partners just on connectivity, 100 platforms to, order SIMs or provision SIMs and check usage and 100 bills. It's an impossible, the use case won't take off. That's kind of what happened, Hypeland. We solve that problem with our one screen, come to us, and anywhere, any technology will make it work, right? That problem is solved. The problem that isn't solved is you still need 100 different SIMs for 100 carriers in your manufacturing, in your products, right? And so that problem is solved by eSIM, which Apple's been pushing hard from a consumer side, right? Which we love, because we then build from that and are pushing it into IoT. But we want to get our customers, our manufacturing customers especially, on this road to one SIM that can go anywhere in the world. One SKU instead of 100 that are always going to be out of stock, or mistakes are going to be made, wrong SIMs are put in for the wrong country. The costs are horrendous, the customer abrasion is horrendous. That's what Omnisim fixes. And specifically in Core's Omnisim's case, it's built to GSMA standards, it's built the right way, if you will. It's not this FUD that's out there with global SIM and roaming proposition. We do it the right way because we believe that a customer really needs to, not take the risk of having their devices turned off a network because they didn't follow the rules.
Great. And finally, wanted to ask you a little bit about how your IPO is going. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, little detour on our 5-year transformation journey. This last 6-12 months has been busy with that. But look, it's a good move. It gives us financial flexibility for the future that we didn't have as a private equity company with almost 10 times of EBITDA as debt. We've used every dollar that we've gathered to pay down debt. Nobody's taking any dollars off the table, not my private equity owners or anybody else. We understand the potential of the next 10, 15 years that this company faces. We're long-term investors, and so this is a accelerator because it gives us financial flexibility to speed up organic and inorganic growth. And so we're very excited about that.
Great. Well, thanks so much for speaking with me. It was great to see you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the event.
Good to see you again. Thanks so much for having me.